Bet Sharukkin, the Son of Perdition, by Alan Bonk. Chapter 12. The Russian Bear. Russian generals were huddled to see the aftermath of their attack. The rest were discussing strategies. Now, for Israel, began the first Russian general. But NATO guaranteed their security, a second general spoke. If that Assyrian gets in the way, added a third general, we'll destroy him as well. He agreed to stand back, another general added. At the same time, in an Israeli command bunker, Israeli commanders and strategists were briefing a Knesset leader, K.P. Levi Harvey. It'll take an act of God to be victorious, K.P. Harvey stated. We've been preparing for this battle since the 70s. We will not go down without a fight, exclaimed the general. The general handed Harvey a heavily marked up map. It is a large valley in Israel, the general informed. It runs from just east of the Haifa area and south for 30 miles. It's 10 miles wide. It is the valley of Jezreel. K.P. Harvey looked up and asked, "Isn't that also known as?" The general looked over at him and confirmed, "Yes, the valley of Armageddon." The general continued, "The valley is nearly all agricultural with very few settlements. The perfect, massive kill zone. Mountains on the west side, hills on the east. Beyond the hills is a great rift valley. This prevents a lateral retreat." The general stopped, just for a moment, then proceeded slowly. The Russians don't have to use this valley to travel south through using the Golan and hold the high ground. How do we ensure that they will use Jezreel? K.P. Harvey asked. We can't. However, we have made Jezreel look militarily soft, the path of least resistance. And here, we will spring Operation Bear Trap. A group of tactical nuclear weapons have been planted in strategic locations throughout the valley. Then, a second nearly simultaneous attack using focused neutron technology, the general explained. You have to be joking. Neutron weapons were dismantled by the U.S. in 2003, Harvey exclaimed. The general explained further. This battle cannot be lost. It is not a game. Our very survival depends on how well we kill the enemy. Neutrons will be used precisely because they are lethal. We don't believe that the Russians will consider that we will use nukes and neutron weapons within our own borders. But if and when the time comes, we will. K.P. Harvey asks, won't destroying the attacking Russian forces bring Moscow's full wrath down on us? The Russian ICBMs, wouldn't they be used quickly? This is where Operation Big Brother comes into play, said the general. America? She's dead. She couldn't save herself. How can she save us? Harvey asks. The general spoke. American presets. They aren't directly tied to the United States government. They are a doomsday weapon system. Their deployment and targeting They've been dispersed strategically all around the world for years. Everything is preset. The signal will commence automatically 45 minutes prior to bear trap. A signal will be sent to release an attack on the Russian heartland. It's not necessary for America to exist to pull the trigger. We will do it. This is Operation Big Brother. And NATO was never apprised. They don't know it's coming. Within hours, massive Russian forces are mobilized and come forth to the south. And just as desired, they took the valley of Jezreel. Troops under close air support, aircrafts clogged the airspace. The battlefield was swarmed with tanks, artillery, and military vehicles. A typical, overwhelming Russian offensive. They traveled from north to south and reached a point near the southern end of the valley. The Israelis were monitoring the advance closely. As soon as the Russians reached a predetermined point in the southern part of the valley, a command was issued, Kardom, which means in Hebrew, to strike like an axe. Nuclear weapons blasted, yield, controllable, and in series, fire and flesh. A second, nearly simultaneous attack. Neutron weapons were deployed overhead. They kill without impact. Russian aircraft were suddenly without pilots. Tanks without live crews. Anyone that had survived the first round of tactical nukes were finished by the neutrons. End of chapter 12.